Is that where it pops in? So I would do that first. Now you can stop it.
Okay, stop it now.
Yeah, until you start your meeting. That's the one.
All right, call to order. April 21, 2023 ZBA meeting. Could we have roll call, please?
Swanson.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Hoagland.
Here.
Gerstock.
Here.
Wagman. Prosser. Coach.
Approval of the October 12th, 2022 ZBA minutes.
Finally done. Sorry about that. That took me forever to find the recording from the October 12th meeting, but that is,
Oh, are we talking February?
no, there's two sets of, I don't know if you remember, like the last three agendas. We've had the October 12th minutes on there, and each time I'm like, I can't find the recording,
Oh,
but I did, and that's.
That's it.
So tonight you'll vote separately on the October 12th from 2022 minutes, and then the February 8th minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
no, second?
Roll call, please.
Hoagland.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Yes.
Gerstock.
Did you say me?
I did.
Oh, sorry, that was, yes,
Okay, thank you. That's
okay. Approval of the February 8th, 2023 ZBA minutes. Need a motion to approve.
I'll make motion to approve.
I'll second.
A roll call, please.
Gerstock.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Hoagland.
Yes.
Right, ZBA 23-005, public hearing for a variance request to waive the curb and gutter requirement for commercial off-street parking at 1129-1 Main Street. The applicant is here, I think, Jeff.
Yes.
If you'd like to step forward and tell us about your project.
Well, that's coming to the podium. I'm putting the street view imagery of the property, which is just up the road here. One, and then 1 Main Street.
Okay,
Sorry,
Jeff,
go
we
ahead.
need to have you sign in and Sarah. Way to go, Steph. And Jeff, you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
So I'm Jeff Radisky. I own Sons Insurance in Beloit, and we're looking to put a second insurance agency down here on Main Street. So we purchased this building or this property. We've already done some, in my mind, upgrades. We've removed some of the trees. We've removed, some of the fencing. All the fencing will be gone. The garage is gone. It's already gone as well. So, we've doing some interior upgrades, things like that to make it look more like an office. But what we're looking to do is we're putting in the parking lot, and I believe we had 7 spots.
9, I believe.
Is it 9? Okay, 9 spots in that lot. So you'll see that it's a pretty big lot. It's an acre of property. One thing we're looking to do is we're looking to eventually do food trucks out there. We want to do stuff like that. We want to bring people into the community. Well, having curb and gutter, probably not going to have access to that backyard or anything like that either, because it's going to seal off the back. So that was one of the things we wanted to get away from. The other thing, this is down the road, maybe 7-10 years, but we'll probably rip that building down and turn that into like a multi-unit property. That's something we'd be looking to do as well. It's a small house or small office building, but we want to see Main Street grow. That would be one thing that we could do. It's something we're looking looking to do. So that's really why I'm putting it for this variance. It's not because I can't afford it. I don't want to do it. There's a reason behind it. So, I mean, that'll probably end up coming out, in 7 to 10 years. So.
Question from the board? Randy, you look like you're thinking about something.
I do have, sorry, I have a question. Chairman, so there's reference in the report that staff had worked with you to do portions of curb and gutter. What can you detail that and why it's not shown on this your proposal?
We had talked about possibly going, I believe it was the first 5 feet from the property line, or 5 or 7 feet. But that was just talks between staff and myself. So that's all that was. But then again, we had also talked about the expansion of Main Street. So one of the things with the expansion of Main Street is that would probably be ripped out. So why would I put that in if it was going to be ripped out, if that was to be expanded?
Was there anything, Brad, or?
I guess what is the requirement for?
All new commercial parking lots are required to have curb and gutter. To not do it requires a variance, so that's what we're, and other people have applied for variances. The variances have, in my time here, some variances have been granted. There's never been since I've been here at least, I've never been a variance to completely and totally waive it. What we have done, that comes to mind is on 21, I think a couple properties on Edith Lane. We approved the variance to waive portions of curb and gutter. They did it from the driveway access points along any frontage portions of the parking lot. We waived it at the rear. That's the history. So the requirement, the ordinance requires.
All the way to the road.
What part of the Main Street expansion would damage putting his current
It
curb and gutter if he puts it in?
Right, so to speak more broadly to that, the village of Roscoe has. The village of Roscoe. I get that off. Has invested a fair amount of money completely redesigning Main Street. Right? Actually, all the way from McDonald Road, all the way north to Elevator. And that is broken into 3 chunks. From McDonald to Bridge right here is sort of just to remove and replace, really reconstruct the road kind of as is, but with curb and gutter, with storm sewer, but to the same probably width and, but a full depth reconstruction.
No added parking or.
Not that, no. And then from Williams north, and this falls into that chunk, same thing, remove and replace essentially as is. The most significant portion of the project is between Williams and Bridge, where it's a holistic reconstruction and full streetscape redevelopment. We're working with ComEd to investigate burying all the power lines. It is a more contiguous development of a multi-use recreational path, including a separate bridge. There will be a pedestrian bridge adjacent to the bridge right here on Main Street that crosses West Kinnickinnick. They would have new landscaping, period street lighting, bicycle racks, trash receptacles, and everything that we would call street furnishings. Off topic a little bit, but a shoot we missed it is that the project actually had funding in a federal transportation highway bill in 21, and it passed to the House. It had been included as a earmark from Congressman Kinzinger, and the entire program, the entire federal earmark program, the member designated projects it's called, was trimmed out by the Senate. So the whole thing disappeared countrywide. So we hope, we have it submitted for other funding opportunities right now. It will require funding assistance. The village certainly can't pay for that itself, but we see that in 3 to 5 year window as a possible project. On the portions adjacent to Jeff, what would probably happen would be a portion of driveway replacement, but that would be done as part of the project. The road will, it likely will not be significantly widened or any additional parking added. This far north on Main. There would be full depth removal, replacement, new curb and gutter put and everything. And without being able to speak to a specific grading plan, I don't know how far back it would go into this driveway. But I would say at least to the radius returns going in would probably be removed and replaced as part of that project. As with every driveway along the street.
Right, not as a cost to the owner.
No, not as a cost to the owner. That'd be a part of the project.
The other part I was thinking, in doing food trucks and things like that. Does that have to be done on paved surface or is that gonna be on grass?
No, it could be on grass back there. I mean, we would obviously, if it was too soft, we wouldn't do it or anything like that either.
How close?
Yeah, the food truck thing isn't what's before us right now.
No,
Look at that in a little more detail. Devin mentioned it. We'll have to figure out what a food truck. Gathering would look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because,
There was that, so I just,
both the county health department and the village of Roscoe will have a little.
Yeah.
So
That's
tonight
that's
we're
down the road a little bit, but
certainly
we're just
looking
looking
at
into
the curb and gutter requirement.
yeah.
How close is that? I guess it'd be the south parking lot to the lot line.
Not, well, I'll show, okay, not close. There's a, let me see if I can get it just real quick. If I share.
And I forget the code, it's 24 feet the max driveway width,
It is,
so it would be matched in if Main Street was approved.
correct.
Okay.
And if I do a new share, and throw this up. The proposed parking lot driveway alignment is shifted farther north. From where the existing driveway is, probably comes in right at about just past the 2 and 132 there. Property line is quite a ways to the south. There's significant separation of the parking lot to the property. The lot is almost centered in the property. That evergreen, are both evergreen trees gone now? I think I took a couple of
Yes.
pictures of it back.
yes.
And then the garage that you see in this picture is now gone as well.
If not, it would have been gone in that windstorm.
All right, does anybody care to speak to this issue? Anybody here this evening? Nobody, okay. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Yeah, board discussion. Feel like we're trying to upgrade the community a little bit. That curbs and gutters are pretty much a given. That you have to do. How you guys doing?
Obviously, the village just redid parking lots at Porter Cabin and Public Works Facility. Those have gutter, essentially a gutter ribbon around all the pavement, so. I know in instances of possible expansion, maybe some kind of hybrid could be considered. That's just a personal, my thought is if there's some expansion to the east or the use to the east that might be used, maybe you can leave it out there, but I guess I'd be open to some kind of hybrid option perhaps. But yeah, obviously there is a precedent that's been set last few years with urban gutter going in everywhere. And unless there's instances, like I said, of expansion or drainage issues. Yeah.
So Scott, you guys have had discussion on all the possible options. As far as what Ryan's speaking to, maybe hybrid, something, some kind of compromise, some kind of, and it's just not working out.
Well, the applicant was free to bring forward whatever he chose, and this is what the request is, to waive it in its entirety. To Brian's point right now, I am utilizing a new tool. And for the first time ever here, that drawing on here. You know, if there's thought or a need to extend the edge of pavement to the north for either expansion or access to something else, perhaps that is something that the board can consider, is to alleviate it from it's the top of this page, but it would sort of be what we'll call the north or northeast edge of the parking lot, but you, the board can approve, deny, or approve with conditions is. And of course, this is a variance, so this will move on to the committee of the whole, and to the village board. This is a recommendation.
All right, we need a motion to approve.
And I've said this before, I'll say, remind you guys, we do, regardless of how you are inclined to go on it, we do like to structure these in an affirmative motion, so like to start with a motion to approve and then receive votes on that motion.
All right.
So everyone can vote no, but start it.
I was
Don't get
confused.
scared.
Yeah. So what, I mean,
I'll make a motion to approve. Parking lot construction without curbing gutter.
Second,
I'll second that.
Yeah, this is just straight.
this is now, the motion before you now is to approve a variance with no curb and gutter whatsoever.
did you get the second, Stephanie?
I did.
All right,
And there could be another motion.
and roll call, please.
Hoagland,
No,
Smith,
No,
Swanson.
No.
Durstack.
No. All
See
right,
if there's any, we want to see if there's other motions to be made.
did you?
I would, yeah, I guess I would make a motion, subject to or condition upon a hybrid option utilizing something that Scott's drawn up here. I just said that, but I know it needs to be better worded. With curb and gutter, except for, would it be the east or northeast?
That's called the northeast.
Line, okay.
And that's the part that's not
Correct.
highlighted.
Yeah, if, would it be, since this is up at part of the meeting now, is it accurate that this, the highlighted lines would reflect where your motion wants curb and gutter?
Correct.
So. In all honesty, I'm not quite sure where we go from here with this.
We made a motion, is there a second? Because there could be another vote, that could fail, but
What is the motion exactly? For him to come back into the CU and
my understanding of the
Make another?
motion would be. Why don't you clarify?
So I would make a motion to approve subject to or condition upon curb and gutter on the perimeter except for the northeast side of the
So
lot.
waiving curb and gutter at the northeast.
Correct.
Portion of the lot.
Yeah, more succinct, yeah. Succinct there.
so does that supersede the first vote?
First one failed,
Right, so it's all,
but you can make another motion. It's a different motion. So. A motion, yeah, and that,
so
so
I haven't ever seen that.
up at the board meetings from time to time. A motion was brought forward, it did not pass. And now a different motion. It's voted on separately.
Nice.
Motion on the board for a second,
I'll second that.
wording is okay, did you guys arrive at voltage?
Yeah, good.
Just so everyone knows what you're voting on, the motion is to waive curb and gutter along what is the top of this drawing, it's the northeast edge of the parking lot.
Okay, roll call,
Durstack,
please.
Durstack,
No,
Hoagland,
Yes,
Swanson,
Yes.
Smith.
yes.
That motion. passes.
approved. Yeah, that helps you out somewhat.
Yep, that's what both, of the, all the both motions and the votes will move. Will be information presented to the committee of the whole next Tuesday already.
Okay, so I'll be able to, I'll know for sure next Tuesday.
Yes.
Okay, all right, great. Thank you all.
You bet.
Thanks for coming in. ZBA 23-006, public hearing for a special use permit to allow construction of a multi-use community open air pavilion and live musical performances at 4562 Hononegah Road. Tom, were you going to?
Yes, if you,
Please.
I would like to, look for you on this.
Tom, do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you all. Good evening. My name is Tom Green. I'm an attorney with Barron Schweitzer. I'm the attorney for the Township of Roscoe. So some of you who've been on the board have seen the development of this cross property. As it from acquisition, I think in 2018. In 2019, we started developing the home, ultimately entered into a lease with the Historical Society, and they are sort of taking over the process of upgrading that home, really looking to turn it into one, their home base, and two, sort of a museum of the founder, one of the founders of this community. In 2019, we annexed into the village of Roscoe. It was a very cooperative effort. We needed the zoning, the PC zoning to develop the property as a public use, and to get started on that. So we annexed into the village, and the zoning application to change the zoning was approved. We then came back in 2020, and as you can see, this is a multi-level, multi-phase process. So back in 2021. We came back before you with the idea of moving forward with the community center. That was approved. The community center has, as hopefully you've all seen, has come up. It's a very nice building, and we're very pleased with it. Now we're back to talk about a multi-purpose pavilion, which will complement the community center. And on this drawing, it's the building kind of in the center, more orange or rust colored than the other three. The buildings are the Quonset hut garage. That north, no. To the right side. And then the house is down closest to the road, and then the new pavilion is into the parking lot. So, I mean, the new community center is adjacent to the parking lot. The pavilion will go behind there. We have phases in the future, so hopefully we'll get through this process with you folks, but then we'll be back. I mean, we want to develop gardens out there. We want to develop the walking paths. We want to develop a full comprehensive use out there that is very beneficial for the community. Really a second grant, correct? A second grant came along and allowed us to move forward quicker than we might have anticipated with this pavilion. Now, greatly appreciate Scott Sanders' help with this. He's been very supportive of this. I think he is supportive in his staff report, indicating their full support. However, what we have submitted, we appreciate, has some open areas that I think Scott Sanders is looking for us to fill in, and he's asking that you lay it over today. I think we can work with that, and we'll meet with Scott. We'll fill out, we'll get more information to him on programming and how and when music might be allowed, and the hours and the scheduling. And we have to do a photometric design and landscaping and so forth. But we're on your agenda. We wanted to at least let you know what we're looking at, and let you know what we're doing. So we will ask that you look positively on this as we look forward to developing this in the future. But today I really want this to be an opportunity to answer any questions you might have. In a moment, I'm going to turn this over to Dan Saavedra. He's got even an updated diagram, which has already addressed some of the issues that were presented in the staff report. Our township supervisor, Bob Nowicki's here. Don Cassidy, the assistant, and basically workhorse of the processes of what's going on, is here. And Bill Reimer, one of our trustees, is here. I think that's it. So I'm happy to answer questions as well. And frankly, we all are. But for now, I'm going to turn it over to Dan I'll let him talk a little bit about what we're going to do. We won't take a lot of time because we know you're not ultimately making the decision today and we don't want to keep you here, but we're going to, if you don't mind, we'll give you a little effort and answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Got a bunch of them.
You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Perfect. Go ahead, please.
Well, my name is Dan Saavedra. I'm with the president of Saavedra Group Architects. I'm the architect that did the community center for the Roscoe Township. The project that we are, I have to work on here. The project that we are going to do, as Scott mentioned in the previous drawing. So we have the pavilion in this area, and yes, we do know that we have to provide sidewalks and we have to provide all of these things in order to, that's better. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Tom.
Sorry.
So
Maybe we should.
this is the existing community center. This is the parking that we have from Hananiga Road. This is future parking expansion.
Yeah, we're gonna move it over just a little bit because the crowd is looking at the back of it, and so I was kind of hoping we get a comment.
There you go, perfect.
Okay. Let me see where I stand, so I don't, yeah, okay. So we have, this is Hananiga Road. The community center is right here. We have the Quanson building in this area. The Crosstown is in this location. All of this area up to here and this have been developed already with the community center. We are continuing with the pavilion that is going to be located here, and it's approximately 130 feet from the property line. The back side of the pavilion, the northeast facade of the pavilion is 130 feet basically from the parking lot, from the property line, and that is adjoining to the housing area. We are providing a nice landscape area with this is what I am going to present to the board of the Roscoe Township for approval of this. So we are providing a landscape area with nice trees in this location. Some of the existing tree lines are going to remain, as well as the entire tree line that goes and the property line is going to remain. We are not we have no intention in removing that tree line. We have no intention in modifying that. Because the trees have been there for many, many years, and it's a good way to keep that isolation and that green back wall, as I call that. In the Quanson Hut in this area, we are going to provide 2 handicap parking spaces in addition to the handicap parking spaces that are already in the community center. We have some landscape areas, some sidewalks that connect all of these properties. And the floor plan that this open pavilion is going to have is simply, we have a pavilion that has some open area in the front. We have a little area for concessions. We have an area for mechanical, and we have an area for bathrooms in the back of the pavilion. Those are minimum things that if we are going to have a family event or a family building that's going to provide facilities and events for families in our community, those are the minimum things that we need to do in order to do it correctly. This pavilion is going to be open for picnics and events that are purely family events in our community. Then the other thing that this provides, it is going to be like a twin brother to the community center. So if we look at couple of the renderings without color yet. This is going to have blue lamp arches that are going to be open. It's similar to any pavilion that you see in any park, in any public park. So those are going to be that way. In the back, this is what faces towards the housing area. Is going to be similar to the same materials as of the community center, which is a very agricultural character, but keeping the tradition of our community in that area. That was an agricultural portion. It was so that is what we are trying to do. There is no reason to get a tremendously contemporary building in here because I don't think it will sit well there. So the more we do it as the community center and in correlation architecturally and aesthetically with the house, that is where I think we will achieve our goal to make this a nice campus in our community. In addition to that, this is to show the community that this community is alive. And that this community is not only concentrated to be in the garages or in the houses that we have. We need to show community life in our environments. And that is what this is going to do. So thank you for listening. Thank you for paying attention to this. We are welcome. We're basically welcoming your opinions and your comments on this. But please see this as in a very positive eye to improve our community. Thank you.
That's really all we have for presentation. We're happy to answer even the supervisor and the others here if you have any questions now. And otherwise, I understand it'll be laid over and we'll meet with Scott Sanders and flesh out the things he needs us to flesh out.
Can I make a quick statement?
Yeah.
Before you do questions, I'm because staff has been referenced to this and we have been working together. I just want to make a quick statement as well. I want to say that from a staff standpoint, support this development and the building is beautiful. The overall concept of the campus and the full vision of the campus is lovely. And I think it'll be an asset to the community. I think the community center that's done shows a commitment to delivering on promises. And I think this will be a beautiful building. We just, our role in this process is to make sure everything's done in an orderly way so that it continues to exist and function harmoniously with our community and not just look great. So parking, largely, and everyone's read the staff report. The applicant has a staff report. One of the large concerns for all is around parking, and that sounds like something we'll work on in the weeks to come. But know that this building will have people in it. It has an occupancy. And ordinance requires parking for that. We sort of fall into a gray area perhaps because there's already a parking lot there and there's already a building there. But that parking lot was designed and sized for the existing building that's there. And it meets the requirement exactly without surplus. Then there's this. And so there's a solution to everything, but just know that is, we want the building, we want the grounds to function. We don't want problems on Hononegah Road. We don't want you to not have the ability to have people properly attend your functions and have frustrations in the parking lot. Before it's all said and done, because this is Hononegah Road, the Carlos Molina and the county highway department will get a final look at this as well. Anything that has access to a county highway, that is their authority. I'm sure they would want to make sure concern they would have is there's insufficient parking for the demand. They're going to worry. Do cars back up onto Hononegah as they're pulling into a full lot? So there's one way or the other, it's solvable, either through additional parking or if we're looking at how we coordinate the operation of the two facilities. But also famously, this village has had some experience with introducing gathering spaces that have the potential for music performance in areas that are adjacent to residential. Very famously. A couple years ago. So that is not to be ignored. And I want to give the applicant, I want to acknowledge the steps that have been made from the beginning of this and the start of this. We were talking about a band shell more than a pavilion. We were talking about something that was much more conceptually open aired and less directional than this. This at least puts the solid block, the solid portion of the building in the direction of the most adjacent residential. Looks like it will orient sound outward. But I want to, Chairman Durstock can share, since this is a public hearing, we have already received a formal letter of concern from the residential condo association next to you with concern. And this is a public hearing. Chairman will call for people to come forward. Please feel free to do so if you'd like. So we'll read your letter. So just know moving forward, those are the parking and getting a better understanding of the programming, the usage, when things would happen, the frequency they would happen, how late they would happen, the nature of the events held there. It's fair for your residential neighbors to know what's coming. And it's our obligation to collectively as a team to integrate the two uses.
So does anybody care to speak to the issue? Anybody?
I stole your podium. Hold on.
Yeah, we can help
Move that over,
I
Tom.
can help you out with that.
Yeah, please come forward one at a time. Just state your name and we'll swear you in, and then you can ask questions or.
Do I need to be sworn in?
I believe so.
Okay,
Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Perfect. Would you mind signing in on that sheet there also, please? Thank you.
Okay, I live right on Francis. And I guess one of the main things I'm wondering is what amount of people are you expecting these to be held? I mean, are you talking 200, 500? And are you planning on running something in the pavilion as well at the same time in the band shell or whatever that, is going to be? What kind of music are you talking? And how late is that going to go? And is that on Hananiga Road going to be the only entrance and exit? Right now, the equipment has been going in and out right across the street from me. I would not like to have umpteen cars going in and out. And I guess I didn't understand the tree line. Is the tree line going to remain on Hananiga Road and down Francis? Or just, on Hananiga Road? What kind of security are you going to have there?
See, these are excellent questions that you're asking, and they're kind of what we're trying to work out with the applicant right now. Yeah, what type of music they want. These are questions that we need to have answered. Yeah, so
Just so you know, we will allow the applicant to come back up at the end if they're in a position to answer any of your questions. Otherwise, we'll just take them back for consideration.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
anybody else care to speak? Please come forward.
I'm Janet Black. I also live on Francis Drive.
So just have a few questions too.
Do you swear to tell the whole truth? and
I
nothing
do.
but the truth? Perfect, go ahead, please.
I think I'm feeling the same way as Carolyn is in the aspect of we're concerned about the entrance that's on Francis Lane. Like she said, construction goes in and out of that now. But will there be like a gate or security there so people don't come out of that area? We have a lot of young families. We have a lot of elderly that walk and ride bikes and things in our area. We have a lot of families that walk up from the McCurry subdivision behind us. So there's quite a bit of foot traffic and bike traffic there. And we'd like to keep this as a nice family oriented subdivision, which is really what it is. It's multi-generation. And we are also concerned, again, like she said, the tree line. We'd love to see those tree lines against the property line that it faces the pavilion. The back of the pavilion faces the one home for sound and stuff, but also just privacy along Francis Lane also. So we'd like to see that continue. We're worried about parking, like she said, overflow parking. We don't want to see that on Francis Lane or down the other streets. Again, for safety, for people out walking, riding bikes, children, a lot of them go across Hananiga to go to the bike path. And so we are very concerned about that. Other questions, like she said, music, but we want to know how late are you looking in the evenings to do this? You know, we have, again, like multi-generation. We have many people that work very early in the morning. We have people that are elderly, you know, or ones that have young children. So we're just concerned also about the sound. It's nice to know that pavilion is going to face towards Hananiga. So I think that will help a lot with the sound, especially with music. And so I think that was our big thing. And also, if you're having all these people, is there going to be security? We're looking at our subdivision. It's a very nice subdivision. We've been, you know, very lucky to have multiple people that watch out for each other. But when you're asking 200 or 500 or better people, will there be extra security? Thank you.
Thank you. Please come forward.
I'm Diane Wallace, and I also live on Adele Street, which is right adjacent to where the park is going to be.
Okay,
Yeah.
I swear.
I promise.
Yeah. You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Perfect.
And I would also want to state that when the park was going to go in, we were kind of assured that there would be no exiting onto Francis Lane, that there would be no driveway going on into our subdivision. And I hope that that is going to continue to be such. We've been in our house now for 56 years. So we're in kind of the oldest subdivision of Roscoe. And it's always been a very, very quiet, very wonderful neighborhood. And so this is kind of a little bit intimidating to think that we're going to all of a sudden have all this traffic, and particularly with the music venue, because we've always been kind of a quiet area. And when you go out on a Saturday evening, the most you might hear is a roar from Rockford Speedway, but not a lot of music or whatever. So in my mind, I'm thinking, what type of music would be coming in? How loud would it be? How many cars? And with us too, living right on Francis Lane and Adele Street, if the parking is very limited, cars will be parking along our area, which is narrow anyway. For 2 cars to pass on our street is difficult, much less now having cars parked along the roadway. It could be, and it's also for litter. I mean, people that come to public places aren't always the neatest people. So I'm concerned about that a little bit. And I just would be very sad if this would open up us to be not our little rural area like it was before. I have no qualms with the community center that's there already because that can have different groups in, but it probably won't be huge groups at one time. It's the big congregation of having huge events that bothers me or worries me a little bit. So I just hope that the zoning committee just takes our concerns a little bit and not change our little community into a big city entity. So, thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
Hope I can sign in.
Trustee Dunn, trustee Petty, anything to add? Questions?
This time, no.
We did get a letter today, from the Prairie Rose subdivision. Stated April 12th. Regarding the special use permit to allow the construction of an open air pavilion to include live music at 4562 Hononegah Road. We are concerned that a permit for an open air pavilion will create excessive noise, specifically volume and hours from live music in a residential neighborhood, and will lead to the disruption of our community and the surrounding subdivisions. And it's signed by Kelly Winterland, the Gardens of Prairie Rose. So that's read in. And yes, anybody else? Oh, go ahead, ma'am, please.
It's actually a question for you, not the, I have to go up there.
Would you please?
Do I have to? It's just a question. My name is Nancy Flick.
You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do. And I'll try to be really nice about what I have to say. All the things that have been discussed now. When you folks come to a tentative decision, will we, the people, be informed before you make a decision so that we can still have input into things? Now, I happen to live on Straw Lane, my backyard. Right there is the community center and the parking lot. Now, it's been fine so far because it's not in use. But my gripe right now is the weather is nice. I open my window and I have the shade pulled only so far because that's my bedroom. And I have the light from the parking lot and that community center shining in my bedroom. So I would like to know that sometime either the lights will be dimmed or will not be on until 5 in the morning. I don't see why they have to be. That whole community center, the whole roof, if you haven't seen it, is lit. And then down the sides, and then the glassed in area where it looks like it's a barn door. There's lights in there too. It is really bright. Now, other than that, and hopefully there won't be a lot of traffic back there. Another thing is housekeeping. If people are going to be walking on the path, more of them that do now. Do not use my backyard as their garbage can, please. Just throwing things. These are little housekeeping things that I think of because I'm living with it, you know. But the whole plan that these folks have done, it sounds beautiful. Yes, you have a lot of things that you've got to consider, sound and time, noise abatement, blah, blah, blah. But just let us know, let us have a final say before you make any decisions that are etched in stone.
So this will be, well, after the layover, which I assume is going to happen, this will be on the village website, the agenda for them to be able to.
It will come back to this body first. So it's gonna be laid over to the next zoning board of appeals meeting. We'll send out notices again. That will be May 10th. This body is a recommending body. They'll make recommendations for approval. And then we'll move on to the full village board after that.
Thank you.
Yep. But you will again on the 10th have the opportunity to come forward and be heard.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So if she watches the village website, when it does go to the board, or how soon are those agendas posted? So if she chooses to go to that,
Every Friday. The Friday before the meetings, once we get to the committee of the whole and board cycle, those are our first and third Tuesdays, and the agendas are posted the Friday.
Will we receive another letter?
Before the next public hearing, yes, but that'll be the last one. You will not get a letter before, when it goes to the board, because this is a part of this process that's really governed by state statute, not even our own rules, is a public hearing. And that will continue at the next ZBA meeting on the 10th, because I suspect there'll be more specifics contemplated and voted upon at that time. So yes, we'll send out the notice again. For that hearing, and after that, as it moves through, we'll just encourage you to watch the agendas as they posted on the website, and all the meetings you can participate in person or by Zoom.
Can I ask how the decision was made on who gets a letter or not?
Yeah.
Well, most of the people in our subdivision did not get a letter.
Every property that is within 300 feet of the subject property gets a letter.
Thank you.
So if any piece of a property is 300 feet from any piece of this overall 13-acre parcel, they are on what we the notice list.
please come forward.
My name is Phil Reimer.
Okay, Phil, do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, go ahead. And
I live on the corner.
Would you sign in?
I live on the corner of 44 Hononegah Road. I have direct view of the property as well as the community center. I've lived there for 35 years. I am very pleased with the zoning board for approving what they had done so far. I believe that will fall in line with everything. I think it looks better than having a bunch of condos or a subdivision running through there. We need some parkland for this area. And it serves everybody. It doesn't just serve a certain amount or certain people. But I'd like to again, thank you for the zoning board for approving the phase that we're in right now. Actually, all these guys back here are my neighbors. So I know everybody here.
Did you guys want to answer any of the questions?
I might make a closing statement. One, we have listened and taken copious notes. And we anticipate addressing those, would have anticipated self-imposing restrictions with regard to potentially no amplified music whatsoever, just quiet on the grass, have dinner type stuff. I'm not sure that's the total direction, but it wouldn't surprise me. The Francis Road stuff, you wouldn't allow us access over there. We have no intention of accessing over there. It would be appropriate to make sure they're posted no parking. We would never anticipate impacting that lane. And of course, we're going to address the parking to make sure there's adequate parking for the events that occur there. And we'll submit all the other requirements, the lighting, impact and biometric, the whole bit. So we have taken notes and we've listened, and we'll meet with Scott Sanders and talk about these various things he's put into the staff report. And we really appreciate and have learned a lot. And we do have the township board meeting every second Wednesday. So if anybody wants to come to that, we're there. Tonight, in fact, it'll be in a half hour, and then it's every month. So
There was a couple things that I haven't heard anything about security in this issue up to this point. I don't know that
I get it.
that's the proper term, but maybe consider in and out people directing traffic or something at higher, levels of use. And then, to the ladies, mentioning the lights being on, can that be addressed now? Is there any point in having those lights on at night, Bob?
Sure. Bob Nowicki, both a Roscoe Village resident and a Roscoe Township resident, a dual. I'm the supervisor for the township. And lighting, yes, they finally got the lighting all functioning. There's a few things on it that definitely need to be tweaked. I've driven past and it is bright.
It is great.
It's supposed to be turning off at 10, some of the lights at 10. And then some have a sensor on it that actually cuts it down to half. And I don't know if that's functioning correctly. So,
No,
yeah,
it's not.
there's, yeah, and I nudged Dan when that was mentioned. I nudged Dan when that was mentioned about the lighting, because yeah, it needs to be tweaked. It's a pretty,
always blame there.
yes.
Wait, I'm here, you can blame the.
I do want to say
So-
though, in the beginning, when the lights first went out, yes, they did go down. And they were toning down and some of them went off the building. But then, like you said, it's tweaked. And lately, yes, it stays on like 24/7 and it is very bright.
Yeah,
And
that's not supposed to be doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all LED lights. I've had some people call and say you're wasting a lot of money, but they're LED. They cost very little to run, but they are supposed to go off and then dim the remaining ones. So yeah, we got to tweak that out. It's an elaborate system that we've got to fire up the laptop and plug it in and program it again. So security being annexed into the village. We are now covered by the Roscoe Police Department. And I think until we get things rolling and get a feel for it, we know about turning left onto Hononegah Road at certain times of the day. It's impossible to get out. I've gotten to the point where I turn right and I go around the block to my business.
Yes.
So, yeah, we gotta look at, we at one time had on our plan and we definitely still have it as an option, is a back exit over into the Gardens and Prairie Rose. Is it Violet Walk?
It is.
Violet Walk. So that's an option that we had on the original phase 1 drawing for the community center, and it was chopped because of expenses. But I think from a safety standpoint, that's going to remain on the table as an option that we may just have to do.
I just took an arrow on the screen. That's the road he's talking about.
Yeah, it's not Violet Walk.
I don't think it
Prairie
is.
Rose Drive.
Oh, there you moved it up. Okay.
Prairie Rose Drive.
Yeah, it connects to Prairie Rose Drive, the little stub street there. There was another question on the trees. Everybody was making comments on the tree line. It was passed at our board almost a year ago to remove all but selected trees on that line. We haven't done it yet because it was an expense that we felt we needed to save for the project itself, the community center. I like the tree line. I like the green curtain, as it's been called. I was instrumental in doing a economical planting of prairie grass, tall grass, short grass, pollinators in the open ground. So we're concerned about the view you have, and keep that in mind. I mean, not what they would call a tree hugger, but I value that foliage there. I wish I had more of it around my house.
I think all of us are thrilled having the park there, because we had visions of having homestay
Condos,
apartment
yes.
complexes or whatever. So we're all happy with
Yeah.
that. It's just that with the new building coming in, how is that going to add noise and cars and whatever? That was our concern with the additional building. But the current one, I think we all think it's exciting to have that.
Yes, the building's walking path and everything.
Walking, happy with it.
Were there any other questions that you needed to ask me, or?
I've got one quick question. So this exhibit, and forgive my ignorance, it's been a while since I've been down this area. But is this all the amenities and everything associated with this? Is this pretty much the build out? once that, if that's approved and built, or is there more phasing, ignoring the parking for a minute? Is there more phasing that'll be done to complete all these amenities like the trails and things like that?
No, this actually hit us much earlier than we anticipated, this second grant. We wish it would have come a few months from now, from our timing standpoint. We wanted to get the community center done first. But the grant rolled out, surprised us, and we don't want to lose it. There's a time frame. This one doesn't have extensions. So this is basically the end of our projected, I'm looking at Dawn, because Dawn is a spearhead of these grant writings. And I got elected 2 years ago, and the project had already been laid kind of in place and started. So yeah, this multi-purpose pavilion is kind of our final stage, finishing the house, the cross house in front. That's an ongoing project right now. But no, we don't have any plans to build additional buildings whatsoever.
Scott, could you put the site plan for a moment, please?
While I'm doing, you might just.
Go ahead.
While I'm doing this, I just want to, there's been some discussion about Francis Road tonight. None of the plans have ever showed any access to Francis Road, or I don't believe any is proposed. But even with respect to parking, and this is a chance here to pass the buck right back to you guys. Francis Lane is a township road, not a village. But we would not be able to post that as no parking or anything like that. That would have to be something done. A township, they are in control of that road.
So,
Sure.
just to address some of the comments on the concerns that people are going to park on Francis Road. Let me, for approximately 30, close to 40 years, I have been an architect in this community. And there is one thing that I can say about people. People are lazy. So they are not going to walk from here or park here if they need to walk this way. They will park in the grass, they will park in all of this area before they go to this area, okay? So they will not come that way. They will not park in this area. Okay? The paths that you see here, and we're going to show you next time on graphics of what will be to be walking in those environments of landscape and flowers and butterflies and all of this. This is going to be a fantastic part to our community. I am a Roscoe resident. I live in this community and I love the Roscoe environment and the Roscoe village. So I am also concerned about my community. Thank you.
Just in the aspect of Francis Lane, there, like we said, the construction trucks go in and out that one area. Will that be kind of blocked off
And where?
where the construction trucks come in?
That was an access point for the
Right
when it was a
down
farm
that
field.
curve.
Right, that was the
And then-
farm field. That's
yeah.
where the farmer went
There
in.
might have been a gate there. I don't know if there's a gate there anymore.
No, there has
No.
never.
And
Never was.
the construction equipment was using that as the egress.
Which we understood.
points.
Right now, there used to be just a rickety fence that would
It's-
go along Francis Lane and Hononegah Road, but there are areas of that fencing that are totally gone now. Is there going to be any fence in there at all?
We have no intention of putting a
Okay,
fence.
okay.
No.
Well, in
not at
that
all.
case, speaking of that fence that's there, it's a barbed wire fence. And I think for safety,
be a
for
harm.
walking, but yeah, just, you know, as it goes, part of it's down.
Yeah, who's in charge of that fence, Roscoe Township or?
Or was that from
no,
the farmer's
Roscoe?
field?
I don't-
Honestly, I have no idea.
I
what
don't
fence you're
know
talking,
either.
But we will take a look and we will address that,
Okay.
Thank you.
okay?
Thank you.
Go ahead, speak up.
I'd like to address the lighting issue. Right now, that lighting issue is a security point for that building. Without no lighting, we have no security besides PD coming in and out. So having lighting at certain times of night where you think somebody might be out is probably a good idea.
Can they have one of those that are like a motion detector?
Or like you mentioned, it can be toned down.
Yeah, we
later
can- we can-
on.
We can.
Yeah.
So it apparently has been an issue and they're well aware of it. All right, we'll close the public hearing then and board discussion. Everybody agree to lay over? Need a motion to lay over that?
I'll make the motion. Way over.
Second.
Oh, Stephanie?
Swanson,
Yes.
Durstock,
Yes.
Oakland,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
All set. Any old business to discuss?
Building.
Thank you. And new business. On Saturday. they're opening for the building.
Oh, it is.
Presentation of the building.
What kind of-
Thank
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Roll call, please.
Durstock,
Yes.
Smith, Oakland,
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Because